Welcome back to the show. OK, it's time to get our next guest out, and I'm very excited he's here because on his programme he has taken on such issues as, and I'm quoting from the titles of these things on the show, "Prove I'm a dad, then I'll prove I haven't slept with my mum." That was one episode. Another one of my favourites. "How could my boyfriend destroy his own face?" And this is perhaps the best one of all. "How can I be your baby's dad when I'm not Asian?" I've lost count of the number of times I've said that to my wife. It's a guilty pleasure, perhaps, but I enjoy it. Here is, before he comes out, him doing what he does best. Jeremy Kyle in action. Look at this. There you go. That's tough love in action. Will you please welcome Mr. Jeremy Kyle? There's some great moments in those clips.
Thank you.
Good to have you here, Mr. Kyle. Come and sit down. OK, I'm going to start by saying I like your show. When it first started on TV, I thought, oh, my God, this is awful. This man's a maniac. Why are they doing it to these poor people? And then I grew to like what you were doing very much indeed. Do you encounter that a lot, though? Do people say to you, I never used to like the show, now I do? Or do they are they
I think it's Marmite, Jonathan. You know, I think that people... You said guilty pleasure before the break. I think that's it. I think people... they either love it or they don't like it, but a lot of them will say, I don't like that show, but you know the other day on Tuesday when you did that, and they'll go, oh, that's outrageous. Listen, it's 8 years, isn't it? It's 2,500 shows.
I didn't realise you spoke like this in real life as well. I thought... Because you're kind of talking to me like you talk on the show. I figured there'd be
What do you mean?
Well, yeah, I know, you haven't told me to shut up yet, but...
I wouldn't dream of it.
I thought there'd be an on-screen Jeremy and an off-screen Jeremy, and I thought you'd be... But you actually do talk in those kind of fully created sound bites.
What does that mean?
Like... Well, they're like little packages. You could throw it out there.
Don't get on about little packages.
Oh, OK. Well, seeing as you raised it, congratulations on the all clear.
Thank you very much.
Because Jeremy, you may have read this paper, he had a bout with testicular cancer.
I did. Yeah,
Okay.
Came back from America last year and literally 3 or 4 days before Christmas, went to the doctor's checkup, tumour straight away.
Wow.
4 days over Christmas, didn't know the results, which is pretty hard when you're looking at your kids opening their presents. And a bit of chemo, and came out the other side. And it does, it tends to sort of refocus everything, really. It makes you think so much about life, really.
And were you aware that you had a problem before you went in?
Not at all.
So you were one of those guys, because some guys, they
Yeah.
think there's a problem, and then they kind of not lie to themselves, but push it away. They don't want to deal with it.
I remember the guy saying to me, the surgeon, that if I could talk about it, it would benefit people enormously, because there's 2,500 people, men, who die of testicular cancer in Great Britain every year. And because men don't like to check themselves. They don't want to go to the doctor, they're embarrassed, showing their bits off, whatever, and they turn a blind eye. It can be too late. I got really lucky, really, really lucky.
But it's a fascinating subject because it can save lives, and it is it's a good thing for you to go out and talk about it openly and honestly.
Well, it was of no embarrassment to me at all. I'm being completely serious. I mean, you have those moments in your life that are defining moments. And I remember waking up from the operation, and it was horrible walking down to the theatre and saying goodbye to Carla, and broke down in front of the anaesthetist and said to him, I think there are millions of people in Great Britain that would like to see me like this right now. And then don't remember anything else.
Wow.
And then woke up, my best 3 mates in the world came in, and we did this charity golf day.
Hold on, let's enjoy that moment.
Go on then.
So, when you were breaking down like that then, were you... they'd already given you anaesthetic, or you were drunk, or what was it? In the morning,
I hadn't had the drugs at that point.
So you were just emotional?
I was crying my eyes out. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if it had spread. I didn't know quite what was going to happen to me.
I think people will be surprised to hear that of you. Obviously, you're in extraordinary circumstances.
I was about to have a testicle removed. I'm not that cool.
No, I don't think people think you're cool. I think they think you're cold.
Cold?
No, I think people do think that of you. I personally don't think... Now I've met you, I don't think that's the case, but I think people thought, who is that cold bastard who will get some person... And you go, shut up! Who are you to tell me? You piece of... You are nothing. You are a piece of dirt, blah, 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 blah. Right? Obviously, you didn't say blah, blah, but, the gist of it is there. And people think that's a certain hardness and a certain coldness, because often they are people who are in difficult circumstances themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And
but it's honest, isn't it? I mean, there's the point. We have this debate so much of the time. There's 10 or 15 minutes. What do you want me to do? Sit there and mollycoddle them? At the end of the day, if you're creating a life and not being responsible, you're rushing around the place taking advantage, you're beating people, you're taking drugs, you're drinking, what do you want me to do? It'll be all right. That's why they're in the position they are. So you get a bit of time. People say to me, what right do you have to say that to them? And I go, well, they came on, they asked. Yeah. So I'm only being honest. Listen, the thing about it is, I totally understand that 50% go, But it's only me giving an opinion.
Are you concerned ever? You said, OK, these people want to come on the show, and presumably they do. They apply to come on the show. You don't go and twist anyone's arm. Are you ever concerned about when people make charges of exploitation? They say, you've got people there, sure, they want to be on the show, but do they really know what they're getting themselves into?
Listen, the checks that take place, the 140-page Bible that was written before the Jeremy Kyle show ever started, the aftercare service that is the best that there's ever been on a talk show. We put last year, I couldn't give you a definitive number, Jonathan, but we put over 300 people into detox and rehab programmes. And you know what? When people say to me, well, did all 300 change their lives? Hopefully. But for me, morally, and I've got 4 kids, if one does that, then that more than justifies what we do. Yes, it's honest, but it's a conflict resolution.
Your children in rehab?
No, they're not in rehab. Not yet. What I'm saying is, as a father, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't do that show if it was just that.
No.
We do our best, but people will always say, well, do you make a difference?
What about you, though? What about you? You had a problematical past as well, didn't you? I know you're very open about this. You were addicted to gambling, or certainly in trouble with gambling. You had gambling debts.
When I was younger, in my early 20s, I gambled too much. It's as simple as that. I managed to get it under control, and
you were gambling, what, just horses, cards, slot machines? What was it?
I think at the time I would probably have gambled on most things, really, because, you know, you have that whole thing in your head, don't you, about, oh, I can win this, I can win that. For me now, it's a totally different kettle of fish, and I can, you know, again, people will say, what sort of experiences do you have? I don't have experiences of everything. I've got an experience of that. That doesn't make me a world authority on it. In anything, when people ask me an opinion, it's just what I think.
Well, you don't need to necessarily have been through something to understand how to help other people get out of it. How bad was your situation? Were you in trouble financially? Were you in trouble in relationships as a result of what?
No, I had financial trouble, and I got over that.
So you were in debt, basically.
Yeah, and I think that was quite an interesting point, because you learn from that. And the other thing is, you know, when I look back and I talk to people on the show, everybody makes mistakes, everybody's screwed up, everybody's said and done things that they regret, right?
Not me. All right, maybe one.
Show me off the break.
OK, yeah, I agree with you. Everyone has.
No, what I'm saying is, and so you learn from that, and you go on with it, and that's it. And I don't think you can have experienced everything, and I wouldn't ever say that.
You seem to be someone who likes being in control. Am I right? Are you someone who has an issue being out of control?
Can I just point out, and I didn't, you know, ever set out to do this, certainly not on Saturday night television. You said that Jeremy Kyle could appear cold and whatever.
Yeah.
You know, when I go home, let's be honest, I don't wear the trousers. There isn't a man in the United Kingdom who's married who's telling the truth if he says that his wife isn't in charge. You've met Mrs. Kyle. Mrs. Kyle is in charge.
Yeah, she told me what to do, and I tell you what, it was the best evening of my life.
Brilliant. When he met my wife and me, he looked at her and then he looked at me and he said, "You've definitely done better than she's done, haven't you, mate?" To be honest. Yeah, I love being at home. I was away for 2 years in America, and just, you know, the last few months after the illness, 3 kids at home, an elder kid away, and it's nice because it's just away from all that stuff.
How was it in America for you? You took the show over there, and obviously, in a way, I found it easier watching the American show than here because of the fact that these people were quite near. I felt a bit more concerned for our country, seeing some of the people you had on. And a little bit concerned for you, but more concerned for the overall state of the United Kingdom. Whereas when I look at the Americans one, I'm sort of enjoying it in a perhaps an ungenerous way.
I couldn't get over it. Their names are so different, you know, in England. Let's welcome Mary or Susan. So the first guest out was called Reminiscer. I mean, you know, and Diogenes, and just the weirdest thing.
Beautiful.
But what they all did to me the whole time was they get really angry and they start throwing their bleeding shoes at me. They literally take their shoes off and go, "You lie me, I'm going to tell you."
Wow.
And for the first 3 months, no man in America ever passed the lie detector. No way at all.
OK, we have a lie detector test set up for you here this evening.
OK.
OK, you don't have to do this. We've put it in the green room.
Oh, can't I set
the
questions?
You can set the questions if you want.
Can I do that?
OK, so you put your hand...
really, really genuine,
They put their hand on these. OK, and here's one. Oh, yeah, there is one here. You can have this one. Put that there.
Where do I put? What do I put
your hand on top of the prong things,
hand.
and they have. That's where the power will come at. And if you are telling the truth, measures your pulse rate. If you're telling the truth, nothing will happen. If you're telling a lie, you will get a shock.
An electric shock. Do you think this is fair?
Are you all up for this? Zachary, are you up for this?
Yeah, let's do it.
Tom, you OK for this?
Do I have a choice?
No, not.
Tom's
not if you want to play your record at the end of the show, you don't, sunshine. Okay. I mean, you always have a choice. Tom, I bet you never thought you'd be on the Jeremy Kyle show.
I know, I'm chuffed to bits.
So, Tom, we asked you, have you ever pretended that a song is yours that you've written and, in fact, you've ripped it from somebody else?
No.
He said no.
That's the truth. No shot.
Fantastic.
No shot. OK, you got one for Zachary?
Zachary, have you ever worn false ears in an intimate situation?
Not false ears, no.
He speaks the truth. Let's have one for the lovely Zoe.
Zoe, contrary to what you said earlier, have you ever decided that you couldn't make it to the toilet whilst wearing a wetsuit and had to let it happen?
No, I wouldn't.
No, she didn't. OK, Russell, it's all on you.
Russell, are you enjoying tonight's show?
Yes.
Really?
Russell, let's do another one. Russell.
Yep.
Have you ever won Rear of the Year?
Yes. Ah, you son of a bitch! Well, that's broke.
Can I just be honest with you?
It's just broke.
Only his one has an electric
Yeah,
shock.
clearly.
Russell, let's do another one. Russell.
No, well, let's not. We've got
Let's do
that,
one.
surely.
Do you think we're
Russell,
overplaying
let's
this?
fire it up to your bollocks.
Russell, I think you've just given him an idea for his next series. Jeremy, thank you for coming on the show.
Pleasure.
You're a good sport, and also, really, I think what you do it about as well as anyone can. It's a good show, and I enjoy watching it, so I'm glad that you still do it. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jeremy Kyle.
Thank you very much.
Stick around, Jeremy.
Thank you very much.
I'm just going to go and say hello because we're going to take a break now. After the break, I'll be talking to the incredibly funny Russell Howard, but we also have music coming up from the one and only Mr. Thom Yorke, ladies and gentlemen. Thom, how are you? It's great to have you on the show. You know I've always been a huge fan of you, of Radiohead, one of my all-time favourite bands. This is a new thing you're doing. What's this new project you're doing now, though?
Well, I've got this band called Atoms for Peace. We haven't actually started touring yet, because two of the members of the band are playing with Chili Peppers at the moment.
What's the difference in working with... Why do you go with a new band? When you've got your old band, why do you now find a new band?
Well, it started out... I made a record on my own, just on the computer, and I was curious to know what it would sound like to get people to play it live, and asked Flea and Joey and my friends to do it for a laugh. And then it turned out to be a really exciting thing, so we just ended up making a record from it.
And what kind of music could people expect from this? Because
It's much more rhythmic. It's like much more dancey, fast, furious, whatever you want to call it.
Because towards the end, Radiohead, you got more and more kind of ethereal, did you not?
Yeah, I mean, I say it's fast and furious, but the one I'm going to play later on is most definitely not.
Did you feel a little bit like you were cheating on them?
It felt like sleeping around, which is not necessarily a bad thing.
Oh. Let's see what Jeremy has to say about that. I think he would have a point to make there. I really want to see you play live. And when you're playing, it's going to be all new material. You can do any of your solo stuff or the Radiohead stuff with the new band as well?
I don't think the Radiohead stuff, it's basically solo stuff from a few years ago, and this new record, which is called Amok.
Amok. And the track you're going to play for us later is called?
That's called Ingenue.
Ingenue. And you're going to play a little something now to go into the break, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm going to play something you might know.
OK, don't go away because Thom will be performing a whole song at the end of the show after Russell Howard. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy.
I'm a police, arrest this madly talks in mass. It buzzes like a fridge, he's like a detuned radio. I'm a police, arrest this girl, her Hitler head was making me feel ill, and we have crashed her party. This is what you get. This is what you get. This is what you get when you mess with us. It's probably enough, right?